Hello everyone, it's day 8. It's Mother's Day. I had a wonderful day. I had my whole family here and it was wonderful. Started the morning up with the one thing I asked of my partner for Mother's Day was just let me sleep in. Take care of everything, take care of the kids, take care of all their needs, and just let me sleep uninterrupted. And he did. So I literally slept until 10 a.m., which is the longest I've slept in since I think last Mother's Day, actually. And just that well needed rest felt amazing. And I'm laying there, and before my feet hit the floor, and I'm thinking about my affirmations, I was really focusing on how thankful I am for being a mother and all those important things to me. And then the rest of the day went really well. Everything was all taken care of, so I really got to focus on the things that I wanted to do with my passions. And one of the things that I'm working on my property is I have a forest behind my house. And so I've been making trails and little meditation circles throughout my entire property. And this has taken me some time because I'm taking down trees. I'm doing this all by myself. But it's almost like my meditation because I'm just so focused and I have such drive to get it done. And so now I have 3.5 acres of forest that have like these winding trails, quiet places, and mostly spaces for the kids to play. I grew up with the forest being like almost like my best friend. I mean, I really couldn't wait to get out there and make forts and play in the trees and climb them. And I mean, each little spot had its own little energy to me. It was a place of imagination, and I really want that for my kids. And I thought, what better way to get them out into the forest than to have a path for them to follow back home so they didn't maybe feel as terrified going out into the woods. But this time I got to focus on mom's retreat. And at the top of the hill I put up a hammock, and I raked out a big meditation circle and raked a trail to it and took down some trees. And it was like 2 hours labor-intensive work, but it doesn't feel like work because I'm super excited about it. And I hope someday that I can share this space with people who are having similar interests, because I think when we're out in nature and when I leave and I go into my house after spending all that time in the forest, I feel so relaxed. Even if I had done a ton of work, it's just soothing and calming. And I heard something is called forest bathing. And what that basically means is that they recommend to lower your blood pressure, people walk through the forest for 15 to 20 minutes a day or twice a week or whenever they can get out there, and that it has some kind of beneficial value to them. And I absolutely can see that because every time I come back in, I'm just like another wave of energy comes through me. So overall, great day. Physical extras, definitely think I got it. It wasn't running, but I was certainly using every muscle in my body. And then helped my mom cleaning out her house, so I'm doing heavy lifting, and so I felt good. I feel like I did accomplish a lot physically because I know that's been my kind of goal for the last 2 days. And then I thought about something as I was reading in my hammock. Super excited. So my new reading space. In the book I mentioned previously, Soul Psychology, Dr. Joshua David Stone, he mentions the balancing of our 4 bodies, and he breaks down the human body into 4 parts. And I never really thought about it this way, but it's super interesting. He says that we have 4 different types of body perspectives: the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, and the spiritual body. And that some of us over-identify, he's like over 50% of the world over-identifies with either 2 of them or 1 of them, and most of us are living in an emotional body. And what does that mean? So I thought about it, and I was wondering, what do I identify with? And I'm thinking that right now, at this point in my life, I'm over-identifying with the emotional body, but I'm also trying to identify as much as possible with the spiritual body. And so I'll break down what that kind of means. He is saying that we are all like cells in the body of God, whoever your God is. I was brought up Catholic, Roman Catholic, catechism every single Sunday. My mom was a catechism teacher. I was an altar server. And as my teenage years, I discovered Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism. I was reading all of these different religions, and it all kind of like came down to, isn't this all the same thing? And for me, in perspective, I really appreciate all of these different religions, and I also really believe that it's all for the same thing, a higher, greater good. No matter what name we put on it, it's the level of what we want to ascend to. So, God for me is really all encompassing of everything that I've ever learned. It's more of a feeling than it is a figure in my mind. And it's more of a energy, a light energy, than it is a specific identification through a certain people and a certain place. So I hope that makes sense to you. And this is a great a great book, because he doesn't identify with any one religion. He's non-denominational as far as speaking about spirituality. So that makes it even better. So when I reference to God, know that if I'm speaking to you and your God is Buddha, know that I am speaking in that term too, just all encompassing. But I'm just, for easier purposes, I'm going to use the word God. So he's saying we are all the cells in the body of God. When the cells don't work properly and reproduce uncontrollably, this is called cancer. When we don't work in harmony with God's divine plan, then in a sense, God has cancer. So how can we grow and become the best person possible? And that's by identifying with these 4 things. And when we're not all in sync and all in harmony on those 4 things, then we're not working properly. And I think that's what he's referencing to. In order to be at a godlike level and a spiritual level of that kind, I would use the reference of like a monk. You know, and you see these amazing things that they can do. Like that to me is they have all encompassed all those 4 bodies and have been able to control them and harmonize with them. So the emotional body, how we can gain control out of the emotional body, is by one visualization that he talks about, and that's the red ladder. And so I'm going to try to describe it to you as best as possible. You go into a quiet area, and I would do it prior to meditation, or just maybe while you're laying in bed and you have some extra free time. And what you're doing is you're laying there, and it's a helpful visualization to use when the emotional body is in crisis. It is to imagine a red ladder, which is symbolic of the will. So maybe if we've had a really tough day, like a really big struggle that we just can't get our minds over, maybe a breakup, maybe something, a loss of job, or something where it would be like, you just can't talk yourself out of it. This is something to help you with that. And so